107, and we have breaking news today. Let me make sure. Excuse me. Let me make sure that we're on. Oh my goodness. Okay, all these messages. Make sure I'm on Facebook. Sorry for. Okay, here we are. Looks good. Just had so many messages pop up. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Yes, because we've had a very busy day today, and I didn't even know what to name this live stream because it's been so busy. And we had a phone conference today with the Department of State there in Juarez, Mexico, which is in the state of Chihuahua, and that was very, very important to us because we um, went over to Juarez dozens of times, and we submitted a missing persons report there with the Attorney General's office of the Chihuahua. I think it's the eastern. Let me see, northern, northern district of Chihuahua, and and that was tampered with. That was absolutely tampered with, and so um, my goodness. So that was very important to have that meeting. And there was other things that were discussed, like the locations where partial remains of Richard um, were looked for, and and of course the Interpol picture that was a tampered picture of Richard, not really Richard, and we wanted that removed, fixed, replaced. And so I think that's already been done. So that was a really positive step, something easy they could do, and I think they did it. Um, and I haven't looked yet. So, and it's been just a busy day. And we also um, talked about the interference with the investigation in Mexico. So everything that we tried to speak to them about, of course, they're the Department of State there in Juarez, Mexico, was about um, Mexico and about the breaches in security there that and the interference in our son's investigation. Now, there was an attaché from the FBI office um, uh, that partook in the conversation, and it was pretty shocking that a couple of, uh, it just shows that dirty agent Marlon Soto is a dirty agent Marlon Soto. Um, because this FBI attaché for the Department of State in Juarez did not know about Nadal Bayim, did not know about him. That should be, can you believe it? So we absolutely updated them, and he had never heard of it, never heard of that. And of course, we have uh, many witnesses about Richard's remains being in Juarez, Mexico, and we discussed those. And of course, Nadal Bayim was one of them, and that was really shocking. The other, not so shocking, but still something we need to debunk within the law enforcement community was the entire story of the border incident with Richard. because Richard had his rifle with him when he wanted to make a U turn at the border. And I need to post everything up and make sure everyone knows that. And, the target of those posts is the law enforcement community because it is very clear to us through Anthony Swafford, and I really would love to talk to Anthony Swafford again, is that the law enforcement, and he's Fort Bliss Military Police, that the law enforcement community in El Paso and on Fort Bliss has been absolutely misled by the withholding of information to the law enforcement community in the case, I think in many cases, but of course in the case of our son, Richard Halliday. So that is really important because um, it's the nurse at William Beaumont Army Medical Center is a witness to what happened that day at the border. Um, and also Captain Park, and also for Sergeant, um, I think it was, well, we got the report or statement from First Sergeant Jay Paulin about that, but he was already retired. He just knew about it because of his connection on Fort Bliss with the law enforcement community, with Delta Battery 143, with First Sergeant Michael, um, what's his name? What's his name? Ruggiero. Because that's also another thing to debunk. There's so many things to debunk, um, but we're just trying to focus on the very important ones first and go down the list. So it was a very good meeting. Anytime that you can talk to people that do have the authority to do some things in their jurisdiction is a good thing. And so I think we gave them some very important information that they didn't know. And I think, that will get us a step closer, inch by inch, a step closer. So at the end of the day, this is about finding Richard. We believe partial remains are in Mexico. Um, so uh, that is very important. Okay. Um, take a deep breath. Yes, because it was so difficult, y'all. It's so difficult to see, to experience this, that we have to go through this, that it is just so difficult to get just the remains of our son, just because there's so much criminal activity, and this is absolutely connected to criminal enterprise. It just is so difficult, and they want you to just go away. They want to just be able to do these crimes and continue hurting other people. And no, we just can't do that. And so um, just moving forward, of course, we're not criminals. We're law-abiding, loving family. And so that's what makes this, just so long. You just have to do it so long. But that's the way to do it. We don't want any more violence than what we have, because you saw the article, you might have saw the article that I posted, that, people are being brutally murdered at the border, brutally murdered, and they're being brutally murdered, and their organs are taken from them. And this, I mean, I just get shivers thinking about how violent we have become. And of course, for me as a Christian, it means that we are, just not seeking Christ, moving away from Christ, and every word that proceedeth from the mouth of God, and creation and the sacraments, and when we move away from that, from Christ, from God, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Ghost, when we move away from Him, we get more and more degenerate, and we get more and more violent. Um, that's just the way I see it in my faith. And the closer that we get to Him, the closer that we get to righteousness and love and beauty, and freedom, and all of the wonderful things, self control, and all the wonderful things that life has to offer, right? That all comes from God, God alone. So that, and I have to say these things, because when you're dealing with asking for partial remains of your child, um, there's just no other way to go around, no other way to maintain composure, um, other than through prayer and faith, right? That's the only way you can maintain your composure, to know that God is in control of um, of this, and He, at the end of the day, He will have victory. So that's why I have to talk about it. So the breaking news is really uh, just amazing news, and it brings to another heartbreaking individual. So the breaking news is that Team Find Richard Halliday has received a tip that possibly, I'm going to have to say possibly because it is a tip, but it is such a shocking tip that um, that we had to look into it. And the tip is that I'm going to be repeating all kinds of words. This is a play on words. At the August 3rd, 2019 Walmart mass shooting, brown tip bullets um, were there, were used. And, that is alarming because, what are brown tip bullets, right? What are they? So I wrote down some notes because, Rob and I, and, well, Team Find Richard Halliday, we researched what um, brown tip bullets are, because they're not really that common, and it's very interesting to look it up. And so, of course, I made, because it's a little bit difficult to understand if you're not a hunter, if you're not in the military, if you don't know weapons. Um, but the military weapon right now of choice, and um, many people can refute me, but the military is really using the M4. And the M4, I mean, it uses a lot of weapons, right? But they really do use the M4. And the M4 is um, preferred because it's short. Okay, it has a short barrel. And so this rifle, the M4 is a rifle, and it's a good rifle, and it has a short barrel. And why is that important? Because with the urban fighting, when you have urban fighting, and this is kind of concerning to me, because it seems like they the army has trained and engaged in urban warfare for so long that that's become a norm. And now, with the information coming out that these um, illegal aliens coming into the country, they want to put them into the military, and then they would give them M4s. You see what I'm saying? And what, go into the cities? Because when you have a foreign army in your country, that's not a good thing. And so you have a lot of foreigners, and you're going to build an army with them and have a foreign army and then give them M4s for urban warfare and brown tip bullets. That's not a good thing. That's very worrisome, especially when so many of these illegal aliens are having some problems right now. Uh, Going after cops and robbing and stealing in these urban areas. Um, that is that just you just put the pieces together and you're saying this is not a good soup, right? This is not a good soup. Um, and I don't know who wants this to happen and who are the leaders. With leaders like we have, who needs enemies, right? If they're putting together a foreign army and giving them M4s with brown tip bullets. Um, so, and were these, I mean, think about this for the Walmart mass shooting on August 3rd, which is Dallas Hart's birthday. August 3rd, 2019. Think about what's going on, because absolutely we know at this point anybody that is paying attention at all knows that an injustice has been done, that murderers are walking the street, that absolutely no way could Patrick Crucius carry on this alone. No way. Absolutely not. Um, and the witnesses, you know, my goodness, my goodness. The law enforcement agencies, certain leaders in there, I think are very implicated in what happened in August 3rd, 2019. That's my opinion. It's very clear, especially after looking into Chris Grant and Donna Sifford and Nieto. Nieto, um, an FBI supervisory agent, Nieto, and DES Thomas Kane, and the DA office and the AG office there for the western area of Texas that are supposed to be prosecuting crimes, that are leaving cases like this in pieces. My goodness, the generals, General Matlock, Major General Clem Coward, Major General Matlock, and then of course Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe participating in this, coming in and saying, "Oh yeah, okay, I'll cover it up. Oh yeah, give me that dirty work. Give me that dirty work against my country, against my countrymen, against my own soldiers." That man needs to be absolutely, all these, you know, Major General Matlock, he's still in, uh, and Clem Coward and um, Michael Garrett, four-star general, and Sean Bernabe and Donna Martin, who's allowed to police herself, to investigate herself. Oh yes, I'm the IG, and let me see what I did during that time. Oh, it looks perfect. It looks perfect. I did such a great job. Not, not. She needs to be arrested. Absolutely. Absolutely a traitor to this country. Absolutely, Sean Bernabe is a traitor to this country. There's not a doubt in my mind about Mealy, and Mealy just got hired on And I'll get to the brown tip bullets. I really will. Um, this is just a tangent I have to go on about Mealy being hired by uh, J.P. Morgan Chase. Yeah, J.P. Morgan Chase wants to hire a failed leader like Mealy. Um, yeah, that's telling because what did he fail at? Fail at being a decent general, a decent patriot to the country. But he absolutely did not fail at being a total criminal. And maybe that's what J.P. Morgan Chase wants, criminals. I don't know. I don't know why they would hire such a man. Um, uh, you know, you'd have to fill that in. So, and of course, McConville too. McConville needs to be arrested. Absolutely. There's so many um, because of what is being exposed. And please share this. Sharing this is our safety. So share this, copy it, uh, like it, pass it, just let everyone know. Because let's go look at the brown tip bullets. Brown tip ammunition is designed, to be compatible with the M4 rifles. These short barrel rifles, because they're good for urban warfare to get around the corners. They're just really preferred for what the army is trying to become, right? Has become. And they're used, uh, these brown tip bullets are used by special forces. Um, and they have 70, let me see if I can see it in my notes, grains, 70 grains instead of 60 something, that other bullets have. And yeah, absolutely. Yes. 62 grains normally are in a normal bullet, and these brown tip have 70. So that makes them quick, really quick. And that's why they can pierce armor and they can go through walls, right? They can go through walls, they can pierce armor. And so, they're really with one shot, um, you can really kill someone. uh, it's like this discussion that we've had, Team 5 Richard Halliday has had about Chris Grant being shot twice in the abdomen, um, and then getting up, walking around, and then going back to the area, auto supply area in Walmart, and then, meeting his guardian angel, and I guess she used an automotive first aid kit. I don't know what she used, but she says she patched him up, and then he walked out, met his, an off-duty police officer that put him in helped him into a truck and then took him to um, the hospital. Uh, you know, if what kind of bullets hit him, because it wasn't a brown tip. And here we are getting tips that brown tips were used. So I don't know. I don't know if they were used. We're getting a tip that they're used. And why is it so hard to even find out about um, these brown tips, right? I have some notes on that too. Let me see if I can find that, because they don't have they're not recorded all the time. It's like they have some this the special forces. They have special bureaucracy free, they have a budget free, or I don't know, they have different rules for them. And this is, I was reading some threads, and, uh, they can be more expensive, but they're effective, and they don't have like the accounting. They don't have the accounting and the numbers like other bullets do. And so, you can correct me. This is what I'm reading. And I'm just thinking, okay, if they're not accounted for, wow, wow, would they be used? Would they be used in such an incident, in a mass shooting, if they're not really accounted for? That, and then being made to be compatible with M4s. And do we know that M4s were there? Well, we do. We do know that M4s were there because we have a dead witness, a dead eyewitness. And I hate to say it that way, but I have to make everyone understand that Glendon Oakley Jr. was, because I was talking to a Team Find Richard Halliday individual today, and they said, we didn't even know he died. We didn't even know that he died. So Glendon Oakley Jr., an eyewitness to what was going on in the mall area, the Cielo Vista Mall area in El Paso, um, saying that then, quote, then a whole bunch of mall cops were running around with their M4s. Um, that's what he told Wolf Blitzer of CNN. And, so are brown tip bullets compatible to M4s? Yes. Do they have like the secret kind of accounting or whatever? No accounting? Yes. Um, so this tip was worth sharing to everybody, because if this is the case, and we know that the generals have done their utmost to betray us, to cover this up, to hide this, then I suspect them of knowing, or God help us if they participated in this kind of mass shooting, because either they're hiding the fact that weapons and ammunition were stolen and used in the Walmart mass shooting, or something is going on, because the way they have responded speaks volumes, absolute volumes. And that they did not protect Glendon Oakley Jr., and he had to suffer for months and months until he was found dead in his barracks. And then they did not protect Richard, and both were whistleblowers. Glendon Oakley didn't even know he was a whistleblower until it was like, wow, I just kind of blew the whistle on something very major. And I think that his death needs to be reinvestigated, because our information, our intelligence is that it was the CID, Marlon Soto, who is a dirty agent, okay? He's a dirty agent. So we have a dirty agent with Tavita Nusa, another dirty agent that was involved in investigating Glendon Oakley Jr.'s death, okay? Then we have a compromised, very compromised, conflicts of interest FBI supervisory agent. We have Veronica Escobar. Where is she? She's like too busy looking in the mirror or too busy, I don't know what she's doing, like reporting that, oh, there's a, uh, my party has done something wrong. We have a border problem. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? She's just now saying that? I mean, why are we paying these people? You know? I mean, it would I just don't even understand it. Except for that they are absolutely serving foreign and domestic enemies. That's the only thing that explains their actions, their lack of action, and to see what's happening with our soldiers, with our service members, our young ones that have volunteered, that love this country, that have an invested interest in this country. And then now they want to build a foreign army because they can't, because of the leadership being so bad and the word getting out and them not being able to recruit. They want to recruit these people coming over here as foreigners and build a foreign army and then use them as pawns. I I, I just uh it is so disgusting. It's so it's so disgusting. So I hope that you share this because if the military, you have to, we are, our family 30 years, my whole life has been connected to the military, connected to the army, right? My dad, my husband, all the all of the wars, the the deployments, all of the support for our troops, um, it's just been absolutely. I was born at White Sands, went to school on Fort Bliss, lived in El Paso, taught school right there in Killeen, got married on Fort Hood, which is now Fort Cavazos. We had our child in Killeen, our firstborn. Um, our whole life has been surrounded by the military. Um, and to see the leadership betray our service members, our country, the way they have, and have these breaches in security. This is something very, very important. The breaches in security. They breach the security, they leave the security weak because they bring in the drugs, they make the barracks marketplaces for illegal drugs, which hurts our service members. Our service members, right, living in the barracks, they're young. They're very malleable. They need leadership. They need mentor. They need direction. They need discipline, right? But no, the leadership is making money off of our volunteer sons and daughters. I guarantee, my opinion, because why else would they leave our military installations so vulnerable to these security breaches, to bring in these drugs, to bring in cocaine, to bring in fentanyl, to bring in LSD, to bring in all these drugs, and then also to bring in young girls, young girls. And it's like such a norm that the command sergeant major Jakovitz, who's absolutely needs to be arrested too. He was working at the VA. You know, that job is hard to get, but he got that cushy job for betraying the country. I really believe so. That is my after going out to eat with him, seeing him shake like a leaf. He was a nervous wreck, but it was such a norm for them to bring in to breach with Thomas Kane, the director of emergency services, to write special passes for these young girls who knows what they were bringing on Fort Bliss, to bring them on during the COVID lockdown, right? To have parties. And I'm sure at these parties, they didn't each sit in a little circle 6 feet away from each other, okay? I'm sure that's not what happened. You know, it's so they were bringing in these girls, and of course, a 14-year-old, one, a stepdaughter of Thomas Kane's guard, was living in the barracks, being pimped out. I'm sure, COVID stopped that, right? And everybody was 6 feet apart. No, it's so ridiculous. It's all so criminal that they would do human trafficking, that they would do drugs, that a hero like Glendon Oakley Jr. would not be protected and be found dead in his barracks on April 8th, 2020, and couple months later, Richard would disappear because he also wasn't protected. Matter of fact, it wasn't that they weren't protected. It was quite the opposite. They were retaliated constantly and severely retaliated. And we have all the proof to show that. And so for the leadership to allow this, and we know that there's an ammunition um, um, breach in security, that they do the smuggling of the ammunition, and they do the smuggling of the weapons. And of course, we have 85,000 missing children from Fort Bliss during 2020 and can you imagine 80 well 2021 and 2022, sorry, make sure I get the years right. 2021 and 2022, 85,000 missing children. So the leadership that's over those children, the CYS Ann Ogle, the DES Thomas Kane, the generals, there is such a breach. Where are these children? These children are products to them with the human trafficking. They're products to them because of the pedophilia, because of the whatever is going on. They're not going to misplace 85,000 missing children. And if they were righteous, they wouldn't misplace 85,000 missing children. So, this is a leadership problem. And it reaches into our law enforcement community there, the leaders in the law enforcement community, to hypnotize the likes of Anthony Swafford, because absolutely I didn't blame Anthony Swafford. I blamed him in my heart of him being young and naive, to believe the leadership smearing a soldier and then letting them manipulate him so that he feels like that is okay, that makes it okay not to look for a missing soldier. Just because you smear a missing soldier doesn't mean it's okay not to look for him because of that. And so that was the problem I had with Anthony Swafford, and Team Find Richard Halliday did too. I think, a lot of them had even a harder time with him. But what that told us is that the problem was within the law enforcement community. And then it reaches outside of that into the DA. Now, the Walmart case being intertwined with Richard's case has revealed that it goes outside into the AG and to the DA and to the Judge Medrano, and others. So this is a binational crime scene because it goes into Mexico. And so, the problems are complicated. And so here we are 3.5 years later, putting all these pieces together of this very complex case because it involves the Walmart mass shooting because Richard came first. Richard's whistleblowing came before the Walmart mass shooting. And that is very important to understand too. So that I'm going to leave it there because this can get so mind boggling. But the point that we want to make today is that Glendon Oakley Jr. said then a whole bunch of mall cops were running around with their M4s. And we received a tip today. A tip, it's just a tip, count it as a tip, that brown tip bullets were used. Brown tip bullets are compatible with M4s. Brown tip are military. I guess you can get them outside the military, but the military prefers them because of their speed, their 70 grains, their penetrating barriers and body armor. Um, all this stuff you can read about them. And so this makes it a very plausible also that they're not really numbered, they're not really that is a very concerning thing because a lot of people that because we have hunter friends and of course we also have weapons and brown tip are not that common, so you have to look them up. um, what are these brown tip bullets, right? So I think that's the point we want to make today is that we absolutely have so many questions in this case for Walmart, and we have victims that need justice. And this is going on for over 4 years. And it's like, well, no wonder they want it to be in pieces because it implicates them. It implicates them and or their buddies or whoever that they are serving, these foreign and domestic enemies that they're serving. Um, and yeah, that's very evident in our investigation. So please share. That's our safety. Don't forget that they absolutely murdered Richard for whistleblowing, and for Glendon Oakley Jr. Uh, I'm very suspicious of how he passed away in his barracks room, being so young and beautiful. Um, yeah, I'm very suspicious on how that happened. So I don't buy it. And they don't have a cause of death for him. And if they say it's like a cause, like a suicide, I I wouldn't buy it. It would be like Elders Fernandez. I don't buy it. It's like a suicided soldier. No, not after watching his videos. And if they just tortured him mentally so hard, um, then they are still implicated. I just really, the least you can do for your service members are to protect them from bullies and harassers, the media harassers, the trolls. That's the least you can do. They could have assigned him somewhere else. They could have assigned him Korea. They could have assigned him Germany. They could have, um, you know, gave him an exit out of the military to go home, right? And protect him that way. They could have protected him, and they didn't. They didn't. And they didn't protect our soldiers during that whole 2020, did they, in 2021? They committed crimes against humanity. And this is another thing that always comes up. If they are going to use our military to carry out a political, stupid political, no risk at all, uh, mandates, these COVID mandates, um, that would harm our military, and it did. absolutely did, and harmed our small businesses, harmed our all around the world, the economy and everything. If our military is going to do that, I mean, who needs enemies, right? With leaders like we have, it's I think that needs to be made really, really clear. And this, like we said to the Department of State today in Juarez, um, the Consul General, we said, this is about Richard. They've taken our son. They forcibly taken our son and murdered him. And then they bullied us and harassed us after they, vile and vulgar. They're so vile and vulgar with their sex cult attitude. Um, they did that to him. They did that to Glendon Oakley Jr. They did that to Asia Graham. So, and they did that to many. And, this is about Richard, and it is about time that we start going the opposite way, right? Because we need to go the opposite way. We are on a very dangerous path with our military and our service members and our country, and we need to go the opposite way. And going the opposite way would be to have a proper investigation into our son's case and for us to receive our son's remains. That would be a good start in going the other way. And that many of these so-called law enforcement and leaders of the military that are totally not need to be arrested because they're totally criminals. That's what they are. And they need to be arrested, and, you know, there needs to be accountability, and the death penalty needs to be on the table. I'm not shy about saying that. Look at what they've done. They need to be arrested, and the death penalty needs to be on the table. And that's why we need you to um, share this information, because that's how serious this is. The lethal injection. That's how serious this is. So, good evening, Anicia Coulter. Thank you so much for your love and for your prayers. So, yeah, I'm a little shaken up because of more tips, more information that fit like a puzzle piece. That just doesn't happen. This whole thing with Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, I think, shook up um, the Department of State today, because she's a criminal in Mexico and in the United States, and she targeted our son's investigation, and that's a breach in security, a huge breach in security. So the breaches of security are everywhere. And why are they everywhere when we pay so much money to have all the security, right? They always tell us, oh, we need to be safe, we need to be safe, and that's why you have to pay for this and this and this. And then we don't get safety. So, and then our service members don't even, who has their back? Who has their back? So. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Good night. Bye bye.